Not there, so. Actually, I got that person, we talked about it.
Is she online? Yeah, it's like it's in. All right.
I think that's
Great. Please call this meeting to order. Please rise as you the reflection. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is called pursuant to the provision of the Open Public Meeting Law. This meeting of May 12, 2025 was included in the list of meetings notice sent to the Courier News on January 6, 2025, posted on the bulletin board of Borough Hall on that date, and has remained continuously posted as required. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and on file with the office of the Borough Clerk. You have a roll call, please, Caroline?
for Councilman Arias.
Here.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Here.
Councilwoman Passaro. Here. Councilman Levitt,
Here.
Council Vice President Long.
Here.
And Council President Barker.
Here.
And Mayor
I'm
Karen.
here. We don't have a presentation tonight. We don't have much of a report. The agenda is kind of light. We are going to have a very small executive session just to get caught up on all things redevelopment and I'm trying to think if there's anything I need to tell all of you, but I don't think there is. I think we're all squared away. If I do, I'll just circle back to myself. Council member report, down to Council Vice President Long.
Sure. All right, I got a few things tonight. Let's pull up the minutes. Okay, so OEM report, the Office of Emergency Management continues to urge residents to sign up for the borough's new emergency alert system by visiting the website and click on the alerts tab. While not taking place in the borough, the CERT team will be deployed to Raritan Township this Sunday, the 18th, to assist with the FRSD color run. Residents traveling near JP Case Middle School, Voorhees Corner, Case Boulevard, and Woodside Lane between 9 and 11 a.m. are advised to use caution as there will be many runners and participants in the area. The Flemington Memorial Day Parade is scheduled for Monday, May 26th. Town-wide road closures will begin at 9:30 a.m. with full reopening expected no later than 1 p.m. Roads will reopen in stages following the end of the parade and during the ceremony at the monument. Residents or business owners needing special access or parking accommodations to contact the Flemington Police Department at 908-782-3434 before the parade begins. Anyone with questions or groups that wish to participate in the parade, they should contact Flemington VFW at 908-782-8397. Police, also as an aside to the parade, if either council members or mayor did not receive an invite from the organizer on that, let me know, because mine was in the spam folder. Okay,
You
check
have
your-
your stamp folder
check your
there.
spam. It should be it'd be coming from Katie Finch is her name. Police report, April numbers are in, 36 criminal investigations, 11 arrests were made. In the month of April, there were a total of 17 motor vehicle crashes investigated. Out of these, 3 involved commercial vehicles with no injuries reported. The police department has continued its proactive response to speeding complaints throughout the town. Patrol officers have been conducting additional stationary radar posts and performing speed surveys on various streets. In April, they conducted 92 surveys, garnering a total of 3,820 vehicles. Of those observed, 70 vehicles were stopped for speeding and 40 drivers received summonses. April 3rd, 2025, the Flemington Police Department hosted a bingo game at Hermit Cat. April 26th, the police department participated in Operation Take Back. Department took in 24 pounds of medication. On April 26th, Sergeant Ribic of the Flemington Police Department, along with Safe Harbor, located 3 Main Street, collected gently used toys and 2 items for families in need. On May 6th, from 4 to 7 p.m., the Flemington Police Department hosted the Happy Meal with a Cop at the McDonald's on Rayville Avenue. Police related handouts for children that attended. And then let's see, a reminder, the police department is proud to partner with the Flemington Office of Emergency Management, Flemington Fire Department, Flemington Raritan Rescue Squad, Flemington Department of Public Works, and Hunter County Office of Emergency Management to bring our community together on June 14th for Public Safety Day. And that's going to be held at the shops in Flemington, the shops at Flemington. On September.
What time is that, Jeremy?
Time. Ooh, I forgot time. Right,
in the
remember
morning?
the time, what time do we have for the Public Safety Day?
Public Safety Day
One
is
to
11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
The 4.
p.m.
Thank you.
know why I had.
On September 20th, looking forward, the police department will be partnering with Hunterdon Health and other local organizations to conduct a mock traffic stop designed for individuals with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, as well as the general public. This event aims to raise awareness and promote understanding between law enforcement and individuals with ASD, providing a safe and educational environment to navigate potential traffic stop scenarios. Additional details will be shared as the event date approaches, so stay tuned for more information. The police department has continued its proactive response. Oh, I read that already, sorry. Station construction update. Most of the materials required to complete the work are now on site. The electrician still has a few tasks to finish, and the borough's rough inspection needs to be scheduled and completed. Once that's done, they'll move up on the closing up of the walls, installing the pump system, and completing the finished work. Now, a target completion date has been set, and that will be for July 17th. And finally, Lyceum Society, that's that first lecture in a series that's gonna be held here on May 22nd. Music starts at 6:30 and the event actually takes place at 7. I'll be talking a little bit of the history of this place, the Lyceum movement in itself, and what's possible when a community connects. This will be a casual experience, and I'm looking forward to any discussion that may come from it. I've had a fair amount of people offer assistance, and it looks like I do have at least as of tonight, 3 other lectures lined up, but I still need volunteers. I will need more volunteers to do the lectures, music, and to serve as guests. And like I said, I'm talking to some people and still ironing out some details, but I'm always in need. So if you'd like to be a guest or know somebody who would, let me know. And if you can donate some light snacks, water, or treats, that would be greatly appreciated. And that is my report.
Thank you. Councilman Arias?
Not really much to report other than I know the Fleming Castle had the Mother's Day event on May 10th. I couldn't attend, unfortunately I did have to work. And that's about all, because I really don't know much about it. And happy Mother's Day as well. Late Mother's Day to everybody. And yeah, that's my report.
I have a favor to ask of you to bring back to the castle people, museum people. The county is planning this very robust 250th celebration kicking off in September.
What?
And I have no special events from Fleming Castle. And I'm sharing it with 55 historical partners. They get our minutes, they're invited to every meeting. They usually send a board member, but our calendar is gonna get published. It's gonna be available hopefully by the fair. And we're trying to get as many events scheduled and on the calendar that don't conflict, and we're trying to make it so they don't conflict, so everybody can go to anything they wanna go to and not have to pick.
Okay.
So other than their monthly tours, which are on the calendar, I don't know how to light a fire, cause we've been talking about this for 2 years already. And Samuel Fleming House is one of the few open to the public, legitimate, was here in 1776 buildings in the county. So it's really important. So I'd appreciate it if you try to light a fire and get them to communicate with me and check our calendar, our master calendar, and make sure that the dates they pick are completely clear of other people's events for the organization.
Marcia, you asked me to check my notes from last year's minutes, and I did find the date in my notes. So I'm sorry I didn't get that to you before I had to bug out of town, but I will send that to you. And Brandon, I found the date of the event that they had planned, at least in the notes from the meeting minutes for Sam Fleming. So they did plan a date. Maybe they forgot that they planned a date. So I don't quite know why they didn't have that on their calendar, but I will send that information to you guys both. I found it in my notes from last year.
I just need to check the master calendar and make sure
Yeah.
that if there are now almost 50 lectures already planned and 34 events and dozens more in the works by the partners. I think there's at least 25 more events and at least 30 more lectures being planned. And so I just need to check with the calendars now, I'm getting very full. So,
Yeah, like I said, I know that they put it on in their minutes because I found it in my notes. So they did have it on their calendar at one point. So I'm not sure why they didn't get that information to you,
Kelly
but
knew they did have a plan, but she didn't have a date when I spoke with Kelly.
they did
So,
have a date.
Okay,
At least in my notes, there weren't, and maybe it didn't transfer to their meeting minutes is my guess.
go on, you're up, you go next.
And you know what? I don't have much and I'm gonna keep mine short since I remote, it's a little challenging. But we did get the monthly, and I have to take my glasses off to read this. Our monthly animal control report. So we had a short-haired cat and a dog, but the one of the two intakes was not Flemington again, and Carla was nice enough to remind them of that. So just when their contract comes up, we just need to make sure that they're not taking these extra, addresses that aren't in the borough into account. And I'll just leave it at that and save my other reports for next month, being a little challenged tonight.
They charge us by the animal, so if they're,
No, they don't. It's a yearly contract, but if for some reason they're like, okay, well, we had, 5 more than we had last year, they really didn't, because every single month they seem to have they have an address that's not the borough. So as long as we're not being, as long as they don't use that as an excuse to increase the contract, then it's fine. We just need to keep an eye on that.
Open Google Maps, because that's how I found it. This isn't in the borough.
oh, and you just reminded me, because you're also code enforcement and property maintenance, is to bring up the issue we're having now with outdoor dining. And I don't-
Yeah, I actually sent the ordinance to Dave, and I spoke about that last Wednesday, right before I left. And I sent the ordinance to him that we had done in 2020. And I know that Pat was concerned about that as well. And so I asked them to review it and get back to me as to what their opinion was. And actually, Dave called me while I was driving somewhere in Georgia today, but we missed each other's calls. So he said he'd talk to me about it tomorrow.
That ordinance allows and provides for outdoor dining in every zone in the borough.
Mhm.
And
That's how I read it, but I told them, look, you guys are the interpreters.
that's how our attorney reads it.
Yeah,
so-
and that's how I read it too. So, but again, I'm giving them the benefit of doubt and saying, hey, by the way, here's the ordinance that they couldn't find originally. And I asked them to read it over and give us their opinion. If
So
they
Susan-
think differently, I would be surprised. It's pretty clear.
So Susan, it's not Dave, it's Pat.
I understand that. It was Dave that called me about it.
Hold on, finish. So what I did is I sent it over to Chris Corsini last week and asked Chris to look at it because Dave Giuliani called me and said, we've got a problem, et cetera, et cetera. So I passed it on. Chris did not see anything that was prohibiting. And so I went back to Dave Giuliani and asked him, I don't understand what the issue is. So.
I don't either. I really don't. I sent it to both Pat
So
and Dave.
Okay, but for some reason, I think the issue's not with Dave, I think the
It's
issue.
with Pat. It definitely is with Pat. I agree with you.
Okay, so
But
just-
I don't know why, the reason why Dave reached out to me as opposed to Pat is because Pat approached Dave and said, hey, you're the code enforcement officer. You need to enforce this. And it was after it was Pat looked it up after he got some sort of application. And I said, I don't think Pat's looking in the right ordinance because we found it very quickly. I don't see why there's a problem.
So for whatever it is, Dave needs to reel Pat in and let him know.
Exactly, which is why I sent it to both of them. And I said, both of you need to look at this, but Pat's the one that interprets it. If Pat is interpreting it differently than how the planning board and the council, executed that ordinance 5 years ago, then we need to sit down with Pat and say, hey, why are you interpreting this differently? Our lawyers interpreting it the way I think we all intended. I can't speak for everybody, but certainly Pat should be, answering to us as far as what his opinion is on it and why what his concern is with the ordinance, because I think it's pretty tight, frankly.
Turn to our attorney.
Actually.
Chris, have you talked to Pat about?
I only talked to Dave, because Dave on Friday, talked to you about 3 or 4 hours after that, I read it the way, let me read it, it sounds like you read it that way too, Mayor, after our
I
discussion.
do.
Susan's not gonna be able to hear me, because I don't have a microphone,
I can hear you.
Oh, that's good, perfect, we can bring Beth into the conversation, but it's just a matter
I
of.
don't think this is necessary, honestly. I think our code enforcement officer is interpreting it, frankly, not the way any of us, intended. I think it's really clear. So if Pat's having trouble interpreting it the way we had intended, then we need to talk to Pat and say, okay, what's your problem with this? And get him to sit down with Chris and figure out maybe the wording needs to be tweaked to make it more satisfactory for him, but it should not be a problem.
Chris, just call Pat Rinaldi, please.
Mhm.
I'm asking you to call him and
Sure.
talk to him about this.
This is the first.
No more, we don't need, nobody needs to be going back and forth with you and him and just give him a call.
Tony and I chatted about this, Carl was kind enough to the ordinance, I read the ordinance as allowing in all zones.
Yep.
Process that goes through the zoning officer and a right of appeal, that's how I read it.
Okay.
That is the only document, and Susan
So I'm
says,
asking
Susan
you,
says
call
it is.
him, see what his
Yeah, sure.
concerns are,
Sure,
work it out, let me know.
assuming there's no subsequent amendments, which I
Right.
did not see.
Well,
then
call
it's
him and
fine.
find out.
And
Okay.
as soon as you do, can you just put a period at the end of the sentence, because there are some people that are pretty ticked off because they're being told no. and they-
Exactly.
That it's yes.
I gladly will.
So if you
There-
could just do that, thank you.
there's
And then
no
I'll
I
take it from
agree
there.
with, I agree with everyone.
Okay, all right, so
So-
moving on.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Council President Parker?
Yeah, the only thing I gotta keep it really short. So the Public Arts Committee did meet this past week. Reconnected, and we're gonna work on a couple of projects, but the one that's the most important is the inlay. Which has been approved by the Public Arts Committee. The only reason I don't have it here tonight is because we're waiting for Keith to get it redone so that we have a clean copy of it. So I will send it out to you guys. It's an FYI. It's not up for comment or anything like, it's just an FYI because they're under a time crunch to get it in and get it done. So we will send it over to you guys. So you guys- It's actually legal. I mean, Jeremy, the only thing we took out was the 1828. Okay. And we just over. Yeah, so, yeah, so that's pretty exciting, and it's pretty exciting that we're gonna be looking at some different projects around town. And other than that, that's it for right now.
Yes, thank you. Councilwoman Sorrow.
Thank you, Mayor. First, thanks to the library staff who's covering the director's role while we are still in the search process to backfill that role. I'd like to thank Borough Clerk Carla Connor for stepping in as our interim planning board secretary. Much appreciated. And finally, the planning board is looking forward to seeing the work product of what I'm gonna call the ad hoc council planning zoning board committee. Please make certain to have the planner's bills applied to the council as the planning board decreased our budget this year, so we're gonna be very sensitive to the cost. And finally, as I was driving here, make sure everybody knows in the borough that Maple Avenue from Main Street to William Street is actually one way. And so when I'm coming down and see a car pull in.
Not yet, no, we passed the ordinance, but until.
No,
ordinance made
you can, no,
from Maine, I'm sorry.
today, Mayor, when you drive all the way, when you go down Maple Avenue and you cannot make a right or a left onto Maple Avenue for that first block. Somebody was literally going down a one-way street the wrong way. Literally
On
almost
Main
hit
Street,
me.
from Main Street.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens
Yeah.
all the time.
Oh, they
Okay,
It
turn,
does happen all the
It
time.
does, and it happens on Bloomfield Avenue all
It
the
scared
time.
the heck
oh
out
wait,
of me.
they turn like right.
They come off
onto
Main Street and
Maple?
turn and come past the
A week
library.
ago, I had a guy coming right at me from Bloomfield Avenue.
It happens on Court Street all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Scared, I've never experienced
So-
it,
Oh,
it scared the
it
heck
happens.
out of me.
It does, and by the way, the stop signs are a joke, because people, I literally had someone here from California this weekend. And he sat on my front porch and he counted the number of people who just went through the stop sign
On Broad.
on Broad Street, just went through the stop sign. And he said, Tony, I just want you to know this. you probably have about 20% of the people who are stopping.
So we either need to
So-
stop there, do
so-
they have that
so-
stop part painted on the street?
Absolutely,
I mean,
absolutely.
we sit there, I mean, we certainly write tickets there, I mean,
It's-
I haven't,
I'm just telling you, I mean,
Why
he
that's
literally
less-
sat
Why is
there.
that less, well, because it's not,
Just saying, I've lived
It's not
here
a
13
program.
years, never experienced that, and I'm still shaking from it.
all right, so you need, maybe to get it back.
It's got a sign on Spring too. They
It-
don't stop.
Well,
Oh, no, they don't stop in spring at all.
No,
Oh,
no.
So the question is that, I don't, and I'm not pointing fingers at all, that patrol needs to be stepped up in those areas, because the bottom line is nobody's respecting it. It's just not being respected.
Did, your friend didn't notice whether they were out of towners?
They were not out of
They were
town.
Jersey,
They were
Jersey
Jersey,
plates.
and they
Okay.
were, and I sat on the porch on yesterday, with my mother, we were just
Okay.
awestruck. It was like, are you kidding me?
Because the guy who was
Are you kidding?
headed me on Bloomfield was a New York plate, so it was forgivable.
No, it's,
Oh, it's just
It-
stopped.
it's people in town, or it's people that are passing, but they're Jersey plates. I didn't see any Pennsylvania plates, I didn't see anything else. So we can't point the finger and say it's somebody
Okay.
else.
All right, you got it, you got it.
I'm done. I'm
Thank
done.
you, thank you.
Thank
And I just want to comment on the zoning, of course, we will give it to the planning board. The process is, Adrian, I think we discussed this several times. We will review it, we will send it to the planning board will make comments, and they will send it back, and then we will present it to the council.
I was speaking to the bills, the billable hours, not the actual process, right?
But it's not gonna be. Okay, never mind,
Yeah,
that's the
that's-
But
process.
she was right, Tony. She just wants to make sure that Beth's time is being documented properly. right, Adrian?
Talk about the time, it's not gonna be that.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Councilman Levitt?
Thank you. Last week, the Environmental Commission
Reading.
met with some local residents about wildlife feeding, and that resulted in the ordinance that's on the agenda prohibiting wildlife feeding within the borough. And I'd be happy to explain that in further detail during that portion of the meeting. Shade Tree has their next meeting, I believe, on Wednesday, to the best of my knowledge. We still have some trees available for adopt a tree. Residents may fill out a request through the FDL portal if they would like a tree. And I just ask that if you do get a tree, please take care of it so it doesn't immediately die and we waste $750 on planting a tree in somebody's front yard. Lastly, I just had a request to the parking committee to see if, I saw that Bill Hunterdon had done some work with the Borough Police Department to put back up some more signage regarding the no bicycles on sidewalk ordinance that we have. And I was just wondering if it would be possible for the committee to explore something to the effect of sharrows or some increased signage about New Jersey's 4-foot law somewhere along Main Street to reinforce the idea that since obviously our ordinance says, you know, you have to ride in the street, that residents and drivers must share the road and interact appropriately with bicycles that are riding up and down Main Street and anywhere else in the borough.
Sure, we'll bring it.
Yeah,
bring it to
and
the
I-
committee.
I think that's a
Sure.
good idea.
I didn't, I had a lot of stuff with the police department, but the bicycle thing is, they're working on. When I pull it up, I'll share it with you, I can just send it to you, the information.
The police are working on it.
Yeah, the
Great.
police-
Yeah,
I was just
and I'm sure the
suggesting,
chief will share it with the parking
And
committee.
it needs to be in Spanish and English.
Okay.
The signs that are now are.
Yeah.
Are they Spanish?
I was talking more about signage specifically geared towards drivers rather than,
Yeah.
you know,
To move over when you see
Yeah.
when you see somebody on the road riding a bike, for sure.
Very good, thank you. All right, we're public comment period number 1. Anybody from the public wishing to speak, you have 3 minutes. Please, raise your hand. Anybody online? Anybody? Seeing none. We'll circle back to public comment period number 2 later. Approval of minutes, regular meeting, April 28th, 2025. Can I have a motion?
Oh, move.
Is there a second?
Rusaro, second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And consent agenda. Resolution 2025. -73, resolution authorizing the release of $250 road opening bond to Richard Yard Plumbing. Can I have a motion?
Yeah, wait, there's 2.
I'm doing them one at a time because they're money.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's consent agenda.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
so
a-
sorry, Bill.
I'm
And
like,
resolution
what?
2025-74, resolution authorizing contract with William LaRue services to abate public safety hazards at 8 Reasoner Lane, block 35, lot 17, and authorizing the tax collection of the property. That one, just in case you don't know about it, the absentee owner who lives in New York, and is, not a US citizen, who speaks no English, cut down massive old trees without a permit and left the wood everywhere, creating a hazard. So Dave is on that, hard. So can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move.
Can I
I'll
second? Okay, roll call please.
Sure, Councilman Arias,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
Number 9, introduction of ordinances, ordinance 2025-16, and ordinance amending chapter 29, section 2 of the code entitled prohibited conduct, which is the wildlife feeding ordinance, which Councilman Levitt spoke. Can I have a motion to introduce?
Liberal move.
Is there a second?
Parker second.
Any discussion?
I did have some quick comments.
Go ahead.
Number one, we may have to, I don't know, table this.
Warren.
I reread through it and, I had a discussion with somebody about, not that we have a formal program, and I can't imagine how we would, do this to exclude it, but, some people do, like track and release of feral and wild cats.
Mhm.
And as I have it written right now, that would not be allowed, essentially. And they wanted to make sure that I didn't prohibit any of those kinds of projects from occurring in the borough.
I think cats are always considered domesticated animals, even when they're feral. Chris, I believe I'm correct about that.
Mayor, that is an obscure question I've never been asked.
I
But
am
I can find you an answer.
pretty darn positive I'm right about that,
Well, it makes sense.
that they're always considered domesticated
would
animals,
think
even
so.
when they're feral.
I
including
agree with
dogs.
the council president intuitively, it makes sense,
Um,
but I can't say the chapter and verse on it.
Do you have a problem if we introduce this ordinance and you can check and then if it's fine, it's fine, versus
I have no-
rewriting the whole thing and reintroducing it?
I have no problem with it, it may just be common sense as opposed to anything in a regulation. Could,
Okay.
I don't know.
Go
I
ahead.
have some
Feral-
experience with the
feral
animal
cat
control stuff.
shelter Or a cat
Never saw
shelter,
this.
or
Takes care of
side
cats.
is fine, right?
I mean, yeah, it depends on, you know, it does specify like a licensed and, you know,
But cats don't have to be licensed under the state of New Jersey.
pet, you know, yeah, what did I?
You can do,
never owned it.
you can do cat.
No, I have to get a
Permissive,
I have to get a
not
license for my cat.
Because
It's
it's municipality specific,
It's permissive, not
Talk about
required.
it in-
right?
I mean,
A
it
lot of
says
towns don't
other,
license cats anymore.
other than for the purposes of feeding a domesticated animal owned and or licensed by said person, and stray cats, not like. I did see something when I was looking this up earlier that said, you know, for like a managed feral colony, right? Those cats may be considered owned by the person who's managing them, even if they're not like formally licensed,
They
and
feed
you know,
them. Is that like if they feed a feral cat?
yeah, like if they,
Yeah.
you know, have like people set up specific like feeding
Well-
and water spots to get these cats to trap them, neuter them, and
You
then
were-
put them out in
You weren't
public.
elected in 2023
It's not,
when we had an issue
Yeah.
over, actually on the same area with the deer,
Yeah.
where a woman was feeding and taking care of a colony, a mother and a bunch of babies. And the then animal control officer said, you've been feeding them under the law, they're yours. And I checked the law and she was right. Under the law, you feed a wild cat, it is no longer wild.
interesting.
So people who are doing what you just said and described, they're their cats.
But I
Under
mean,
the law.
some municipalities have
They're cats.
passed laws and, you know, have entire programs for
Yes.
this entire specific kind of thing. I don't know if they consider them.
Middlesex Borough has such a program and there is a group that is sanctioned by the law.
So even if we don't
We
have
take
like,
care of them.
well, exactly, so even if we don't have that,
No,
You know,
the state
like-
law says you feed a cat, it's a cat.
okay, so then there's nothing, you know, as it's written, there's nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't, and this is for Scorsese, doesn't the line that says specifically deer just mean specifically deer, and our cat friends are.
I mean, we don't
So
have,
birds
there's not
are
wine
fine,
in
bird
here.
feeders are fine, right?
If bird feeders are precluded from this ordinance.
Yes, and Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's
you
no
might remember
language
it.
about deer.
I know Councilman Long, you might remember this because
I don't
the
know.
woman who was feeding those cats also was paying you on medical bills and she wanted to get reimbursed. And we were like, yeah, we're not reimbursing you because they're your cats now, you fed them.
I remember that.
You remember that too? So that's, I think that answers your question. If somebody to bait them and catch them and release them, they're cats.
Okay.
So,
Alright.
all right, so.
Does anybody else have any other questions about this ordinance or why it is here?
All good.
Okay, wonderful.
Is someone literally been feeding deer?
Well, according to some residents, entire bags worth of deer feed have been placed out every week for deer, and they are seemingly millions of them, so.
And, or they get, the decorative cabbage and they purposely get it to feed the deer.
Yeah, they're feeding apples too.
Okay, thank you. That's
Yeah,
last question.
It's not good for the herd. It's not good for the herd. Okay, can I, a roll call, please?
Sure, Councilman Arias,
Yes.
Councilman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long.
Yes.
And Council President Parker.
Yes.
The public hearing is.
June 9th. Okay, ordinance, 20-25-17, an ordinance amending 7A traffic schedule to authorize a handicap parking spot for 41 Spring Street. Just FYI, the homeowners have not met all conditions required by the law, meaning they don't have the valid handicapped parking tag yet. They do have an appointment with motor vehicles. I just wanted to keep this moving so that it's not delayed. Okay, so, because they do need it, they're just slow on the uptake.
And I got the paperwork today.
So,
The gentleman is severely injured, which is making it hard to get him.
yeah,
cleaned out. So
yeah,
I walked by
right.
the other day there.
So can I have a motion to introduce? Is there a second?
Sorry, I'll second.
And, sorry.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Arias,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
And the public hearing for that will also be June 9th. Thank you. Public hearing, ordinance 2025-15, an ordinance amending 7A traffic schedules to restrict the permitted gross weight of trucks on Court Street between Park Avenue and Main Street to 4 gross tons. Can I have a motion to open up to the hearing to the public?
So.
Well, second.
Get
Sorry,
that, Carla. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now open to the public. Anybody from the public wishing to speak on this ordinance, please raise your hand if online. Or raise your hand in the audience, Mr. Daigle. Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the hearing from the public?
Engelhardt will move.
For a second,
Sorry, I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
To adopt ordinance 2025-15,
I'll move.
is there a second?
Sorry, I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Arias,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
Okay, we're up to number 6, which is the budget. Chris, you wanna get it? Bill, you out there? Oh, he's not online. Oh, there he is. Oh, you can hear me. Yeah, of course. I know the travel.
No, okay, thank you. They got the tablets on it, right? What a mess. Jeez.
Okay, so we're joined by our CFO, the illustrious Bill Hance, regarding the budget. I don't have a budget statement or anything to read. Normally I have a title, so, I don't know how to do without a title. So, it is the budget resolution, for 2025.
Oh, wait, hold on.
You getting me a title? What's she getting?
Sheet 41 of the budget.
Well, yeah, but I wasn't gonna print out that budget and, and getting things up on my phone is, with these eyes is, thank you, is tedious. All right, thank you. All right, still don't have a title. I don't have to read this thing, I know that.
That's sheet 41.
I know it's before you want to, so that, but it's the budget to be adopted for year 25 as per sheet 41, in the amount of $9,046,000. So I'm gonna ask for a motion to open this up to the public.
Sorry.
Is there a second?
Liberal second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. This public hearing is now open to the public. Anybody from the public wishing to speak on this, please raise your hand online or come up to the microphone if you have any questions, Mike. Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the hearing to the public?
Engelhardt will move.
One second.
Whatever. All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adopt, the 2025 budget?
Liberal second.
Sarah moved it, Levis seconded it. Any discussion?
Nice job.
Nice job.
Nice job, Liberal.
Seeing none, I do want to just, give some highlights on this budget before calling for the vote. The 2024 budget increases the tax rate, 2025 budget, I'm sorry. Increases the tax rate by 2.16 cents and through careful and conservative operational spending. I want to thank the council for that. Paid down debt by $614,130 or 5.51% of borough debt. The 2025 budget decreases the tax rate by 0.76% or 0.008 cents, while still permitting the borough to continue aggressively addressing our high debt issue. Several major cost categories went up worth noting, including another large increase in the cost of public health insurance. It's 2 in a row. Capital improvements, emergency service expenses, and the reserve for uncollected taxes, unfortunately, went up this year. This budget aggressively replenishes the capital fund, which had been depleted from $600,000 in 2019 down to $93,000 in 2023. By the end of 2025, the borough should have approximately $158,900. That's after utilizing $475,000 to fully fund the acquisition of a fire truck without issuing any debt. Otherwise, we'd have over $600,000 in there. So I just want to congratulate council for being able to buy that fire truck in cash. This budget which should be replenished to some degree when we sell the 2 trucks. This budget aggressively pays down principal on financing notes in the amount of $500,000 over the next 3 years, avoiding costly and wasteful interest payments. The borough avoids paying over $60,000 in interest payments and thus avoids a more than 6% tax increase over the same period. This budget continues to keep the borough on track for financial soundness and positions us to pay off debt, plan for capital projects such as the long overdue Main Street project, fixing the wet weather facility, Academy Street, finishing the new police facility, and at least one additional well, while doing so with a stable and predictable financial environment. The budget brings, this is astounding, and really kudos to the council for being willing to do this. The budget brings our surplus to just under $2 million. It is the highest it has been in the history of the borough, and close to the amount recommended by our auditor, which is 25% of our budget total, or $2.25 million, as well as where our bond rating company wants to see the borough. With anticipated pilot and hotel room occupancy tax from the Union Hotel project starting in 2025, income from cannabis licenses and pilot payments from the Future Liberty Village project, we look forward to a future which allows us to continue to structure a flat budget with no tax increases for several years. So, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilman Harris,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilman Thorne,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
I want to say thank you to Bill for the hard work you did this year. All the stuff the council asked you to do, some which were successful exercises, others which were just exercises, but it was very worthwhile. And all your time was, just wanted to say thank you for it.
Start the process earlier next year.
I agree, but I will also say this, thank you to the departments and to the council for going back to the departments. And there was nothing such thing as someone who was not. We were all worthwhile, and we actually lowered some of the stuff because people didn't know what they were given a little bit. So I think we should also thank everybody who was involved outside of the council who contributed to getting this done as well.
Before we do that, I just wanted to make sure you were gonna be around for some of these other items on the agenda tonight. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, I guess what I would ask my peers up here is next year, November, December, work with your
Agreed.
current assignment and hand off that projected budget for whatever they're going to intend to hand a bill to the mayor and or the person who needs assigned to, or the council president, should you for some reason not be here. But I think
Agreed.
that,
That's a good idea.
I think it's
Agreed.
a really good idea that we hold ourselves accountable and make sure that the next person that comes in knows exactly what's gonna happen, so we can move this. It's still will always feel to me like a little last minute, but we got that. But thank you.
Agreed.
It makes everybody's job easier.
Thank you so
I
much.
agree with you, Mark.
Thank you so much. Onward and upward, the next will be the capital budget sometime in June. And we'll be introducing that, so. Okay, regular agenda, resolution 2025-75 salary resolution. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Yamas?
Yes.
Councilman Engelhardt?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro?
Yes,
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council Vice President Long?
Yes.
And Council President Parsons?
Yes.
Resolution 2025-76, Governor's Council on Substance Use Disorder Fiscal Grant Cycle, October 2020, June 26. This comes to us. We hand it off so that there can be drug education in the school system, as well as outreach. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Harris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt?
Sorry. Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro?
yes,
Councilman Levitt?
Yes.
Council Vice President Long?
Yes.
And Council President Parsons?
Yes.
Resolution 2025-77, resolution of the Borough of Flemington and the County of Hunterdon, New Jersey, determining the form and other details of its note relating to the Water Bank Construction Financing Program of the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank to be issued in the principal amount of up to $279,393, and providing for the issuance and sale of such note to the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank and authorizing the execution and delivery of such note by the Borough of Flemington in favor of the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank, all pursuant to the Water Bank Construction Financing Program of the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank. That's a long way of saying this is for galvanized pipe replacements. And we will be getting 100% reimbursement on this money once we do the work and present the bills. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
So what exactly, I mean, I get it's for the lead pipes, but
It's our side of the lead pipes. It's for whatever ones they hit. They've got a list now on the street. And so the I-Bank has two divisions. One is DOT. I'm sorry, they have three divisions. One is DOT, one is DEP. Within the DEP, they have lots of pockets. So they've got a sewer, they got a water, and under the water, they also, this is part of the Safe Drinking Water Program. So, my predecessor originally got us the money to do the street. And then this council, we worked with I-Bank to get us the money to do the water sewer. And then late in the game, I had a wake up moment at 3 in the morning and realized there was galvanized pipe money out there too. And once we have the road open, we might as well do those. And this
Sure.
council agreed to pursue that. So the sewer, the water, and the galvanized pipe money will all be reimbursed to us 100% when the work is done. That is because we have been kind of like it's a double-edged sword, being blessed as an in-need community. Our in-need status ends June 30th, so we are working hard to get the same deal for Main Street from the traffic light to Chorister, which is the last phase of Main that needs to be done, as well as hopefully getting money for Mine Street, which hasn't even been started yet with water sewer. Down by starting at the circle and working our way in town. So our applications are in by June 30th. And the engineering designs are in by July 30th. We will qualify grandfathered in for 100% forgiveness. We will get, regardless, we'll get some kind of forgiveness, like 75% or 50%, but it's always better to get 100% because we can keep using this money and rolling it forward to pay.
sure, I just mean like, cause I know we've,
Is that
you know,
one?
issued bonds and, you know, resolutions, seemingly, it keeps happening. I'm just curious, why this one now on top of the other one? Is this additional money on top of what we've
This
already
is additional money
requested?
that we've,
Okay, so
Right.
there's more money.
this, and they have to see this, they must see this to give us the money.
Okay,
To get us-
that's all, I
It's
just,
all part of locking in the I-Bank to that 100% forgiveness.
wonderful, that's all,
Okay,
thank you.
sorry if we moved over to.
No, that's fine. I appreciate that. My question was going to be, when does the 100% actually
Actually-
expire? And so the June 20th and the July, what was the date for the engineers that had to finish their drawings?
July 30th, they have to have the designs
Yeah.
in, but
Yeah, but June.
And I'm assuming that, they've started working on those drawings
Absolutely.
already?
well, they've got, no, they're finalizing the applications so that the applications get in June and then, early June, and then they'll be working on the designs to get. Once the applications are certified that they got them at the IBanks, then they'll be going after doing the design.
Okay.
So they're working as, fast as possible to get us as much locked in under the old status. So like I said, it's good news, bad news. I mean, the bad news is we're not gonna, the good news is we're not considered that in need anymore, but the bad news is that, we got a long way to go on sewer and water, so.
I knew the deadline was coming. I just that's not a lot of time for them to do their drawings. I just want to make sure that that's not dropped the ball.
No.
Thank you.
No, I'm confident in RV.
So am I. It's tight.
Roll call, please, Carl.
Councilman Harris,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Woman Fasara,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
Council President Parker.
Yes.
This is the second half of this, IBank for the galvanized. Resolution 2025-78, resolution of the Borough of Flemington declaring its official intent to reimburse expenditures for project costs from the proceeds of debt obligations in connection with its participation in the New Jersey Water Bank. May I have a motion, please?
Oh, move.
Is there a second?
Sorry, second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Councilman Arias,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Woman Fasara,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-79, resolution appointing Carla Connor as the temporary permanent secretary. Put her feet in to see if she likes the water. Can I have a motion, please?
Oh, move.
Is there a second?
Perfect.
Everybody wants,
Yeah.
any discussion? Anybody want to know her qualification? Okay. Roll call.
I had a real quick question on that. I just want to make sure the employment is definitely temporary, and it's employment as, by will. In other words, I'm afraid I don't want Carla to get burnt out and then get all mad at us.
Right. No, Carla offered to try it out.
Yeah, I know, I understand that, but I just want to make sure it's employment at will, and that if she decides that it's just, too much, 2 nights in a row, every other week, that it's,
We're aware it's 2 tough nights in a row to go from here to
Yeah.
there. So we'll see. Okay, can I have a roll call?
well, thank you to Carla so much.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Arias,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasara,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 2025-80, resolution approving the purchase of a used fire truck from Delaware Township. Can I have a motion, please?
Oh, move.
Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Arias,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Woman Fasara,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-81, resolution awarding the Main Street lead service line replacement project to MSP Construction. Can I have a roll, motion, please?
Oh, move.
Is there a second?
Real second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Arias,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Woman Fasara,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
Resolution 2025-82, resolution authorizing a 2-month suspension of sewer bills for Liberty Village. Can I have a motion, please? We'll discuss it. Motion, please.
Sorry,
Seconded. Discussion, I mean, the resolution is pretty self-explanatory. Our ordinance says that if you are, so Liberty Village shut down, George has been paying his water bills all this time and sewer bills, and then, with it not being occupied at all. Last year, he cut and stubbed the sewer line so he could start demolition. Our ordinance says you get a credit if you've been in continuous use for 2 years. He has not now been in continuous use for 2 years. He's looking for that credit. So he needs this resolution for financing while we figure out legally whether we need to rewrite the contract or whatever, while our redevelopment attorney works with his attorney. It does have a 3-month end date, only because I wanted to get our attorneys working on this, and his attorney, I didn't want people just sitting on it, because they thought they had forever. So, if he needs more, if the lawyers need more time, we'll give them more time, but I'm hoping that in 3 months, between our sewer and water department and our attorneys, they can figure out what's right here, because our contract, it did not foresee George ending the service and subbing the lines. So that's what that's about. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Councilman Harris,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
I know I sent you, and I forgot about this, about the county wanted a resolution saying that we're gonna let them do the state plan for us. They said that was, I did, in an email saying, you gotta put that on for the county, they wanted authorization. So cause their deadline is the end of this month, we're not meeting it.
Okay,
So,
I'll decide it. Is that the one for the,
state plan,
state plan?
letting them handle it for us, and I think we were all good with that, we just never said we were good with it. So can I ask for a motion that we're all good with this, the county handling the state plan for us rather than having Beth do it, and she agreed with what the county wrote, so.
We'll move to do that.
Huh?
I'm sorry, I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Oh, Councilman Harris,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
Thank you. We don't have a work session. We're at public comment number 2. Anybody from the public can speak, raise your hand. You have 3 minutes. Online, in the room. Seeing none, payment of bills, authorizing payment of bills in the amount of $5,102,454.81. Have a motion, please.
Well, move.
Is there a second?
Engelhardt will second.
Roll call, please. Anybody have nothing you want to call? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Harris,
Yes.
Councilwoman Engelhardt,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fasaro,
Yes.
Councilman Levitt,
Yes.
Council Vice President Long,
Yes.
and Council President Parker.
Yes.
We do have a brief executive session. I did ask Beth to call in around 8:30, go to text her. let her-
She's on.
Oh,
She's
she is
been
on? Okay, let's take a 5-minute break and get back in at 8, and we'll go, especially from Lemon Center, Urban Renewal, we'll do the other ones first. So let's take a 5-minute break. Thank you, everybody.
Any more than,
Nope, we're done with
Okay.
it.
have a good night. Take care.
Okay, so can we go back, is it okay to talk about what Sergeant McNally was talking about with the taxis now? We're now in open session.
You should amend, it's on the agenda, you should amend your agenda to add it. I don't mind if you do, but you should amend your agenda to add it, so it's reflected on the agenda.
What if I just ask for a police report since he's here?
Okay.
Have a police report, please.
So based on the gentleman that stopped in before, that we're working with Sergeant Hurbick, so in January, Sergeant Hurbick had started working on this already with the municipal prosecutor. And based on 2013 was the last time we had a large enforcement action on this, based on title or chapter 20 of the borough ordinance, which regulates taxis. Prosecutor Ogrodnik's position is outside of some sort of a large investigation, which would entail like an undercover officer having to be in the taxi, exchanging the money, the simple observation of just seeing somebody pick up a fare and exchange money and then issuing a citation based off that would be problematic for prosecution in a court. And it could also open the borough to civil liability.
So what's stopping 10 guys from Flemington Borough starting
Honestly, nothing.
Then
Is there-
what is the purpose of having a taxi permit?
Well, under
Ba-
state
based
law, I'm
on-
sure they're insured.
Yeah, based on this new information, without getting more information from Mike, myself, I'm just going off, sorry.
So why wouldn't we do that then? Why wouldn't we just put an undercover person in there and play the game? And what, just to send a message?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly could, it's just
You know,
time,
we
resources,
gotta do
manpower.
something to bail these people out, because this is not fair to them.
I mean, have we talked, has anybody have a conversation with Raritan Township, like, I'm happy to talk to the mayor. They don't have an ordinance allowing taxis, we're not allowing them, so that allows anybody to do whatever. And nobody, so if they actually put through a taxi ordinance, maybe it might rein in some of the bad actors.
Mhm.
Cause they don't have a taxi ordinance. So,
Just say real quick.
Go ahead.
just quickly
Sure they
tell me
do.
What exactly,
What the taxi
what did they
ordinance
come in here for?
So they, basically what's happening is, we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 currently licensed taxis in
Which
the
is
borough.
where we allow.
And they have extensive insurance premiums they have to pay, they have to get a licensing fee from us. They have to ensure their vehicles are inspected,
Yeah.
right? So what's happening is there's 17 total legal taxis operating from what they've observed. I can't say these are all factual, but from what they've provided. And basically what they're saying is that, they're being undercut, whereas they would charge whatever it is, $18, $20 for the fare because they have fees that they have to pay. They're being undercut by these unlicensed
Right.
operators for $5 a ride.
No, those are the $7 and $8 fares that are being undercut to
Okay.
$5.
Okay,
So they said, because so the state requires legal taxi drivers to carry $1.5 million in insurance. It was $1 million, it went up. And so these illegals are most likely not carrying any insurance, and so they don't have that kind of overhead, plus our licensing is $500 a license, and Raritan Township doesn't have any licensing program. So they are undercutting our legal taxis, and these are truly small businessmen who do this full time for a living.
and they're following everything to the T
Well,
Well,
here.
they follow the rules.
They're trying to raise their family. No, it's not fair.
So I think maybe the next step then is that I'll call Mayor King.
And I'll certainly wrap around with the chief when he's back from vacation.
Yeah, you
Um,
talk to the chief, I'm gonna call Mayor King tomorrow and talk to him about why the township doesn't license and rein these people in themselves. Cause if they license it and they charge for licensing, they certainly are gonna not want these illegals either.
So
And-
from what these gentlemen are saying, it's 13 total operators with 17 vehicles.
Wait, is that counting the 3 they sent to Herbic originally?
I don't know, I don't have that list in front of me,
Okay.
so.
But again, why wouldn't
I think you should do it 1 or 2 times. It will scare
exactly,
them
to send
out
a
of it.
message, you
Yeah.
gotta send a
And
message.
in
We're not
2015,
doing
we
anything.
did that.
Okay, but do it again, because the point of it is, the message wasn't read loud and clear.
I mean, one
So,
taxi driver
It's
told
not like
me,
if you did it in 2013, it's 2025, and
Sure.
so.
And it definitely, and to your point, Councilman Parker, it cleaned up things extensively for a long period of time. But we've seen this influx come back.
Okay, so here's my point on this. That's great. But in order to stop something from happening, you also have to do spot checks. So sometimes you have to spot do it. So from 2013 to 2025, it's a huge gap. And so now I can do anything I want because they're not checking.
and,
Once you do it, and then they know that you're gonna do a spot checking on it, it goes away.
and I give them a decal too, so if these taxis don't have the Flemington Borough decal, you know.
Well, none of these are
Yeah,
letters,
they're from Flemington, they're all from Raritan
and
County.
none of these
No,
are
I'm
letters.
not saying,
You
It's like,
still get a
there's
decal.
like a
Still get a
safety,
decal. You get a
there's a
decal.
safety, there's a safety issue here too. Like,
Absolutely.
who is coming into this borough?
it's all we're.
I wouldn't want my niece getting in, somebody I don't know, someone.
I mean,
licensed
one
taxi
taxi driver told me he had to get rid of one of his cars because he can't afford it,
That's right.
the insurance.
That's what he tells
So
me.
I'll share with the chief the council's request and,
Yeah, I'll talk to
Councilman
the
Long
mayor
can
tomorrow.
follow up and we'll hopefully make
But
something
hold
happen.
on,
I mean, does this,
Carla said that there's a decal. So is there a decal they put in there, a sticker they put in
On the
there?
window.
In their window,
So
it
if it
says
doesn't have it,
Beaver.
then
If it says like Jose's Taxi. with
Well,
no
none
decal.
of these taxis operating have any markings on. These
So they're acting
are
like
regular
Uber.
passenger
They're-
vehicles.
yeah, they're doing it.
And they're not affiliated with an Uber or.
That's
or
what these gentlemen are saying. So again, without,
Well, if they're affiliated with Uber, Uber is clearly
Right,
in
that's a
their,
separate
in their
operation.
window. Since Uber doesn't allow you to not pick up without having a decal, so, I mean, I know.
Oh, they
that-
don't.
we will
Not
have
at
to
all.
vet,
Not at all.
we'll have to vet this
That's
and
good to
You
know.
gotta have.
do an
some
investigation.
Okay.
There's a-
I'm gonna always say worry about that little safety issue too.
Oh,
And I know
absolutely.
you guys are on that.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, that's why we pushed for the licensing in the 2010s.
Who's doing it? Who's it?
You know, because we had issues, we had alcohol deliveries, everything else coming out of it.
Yeah, this like really pop up after 2020, like, or.
It actually died off a while because, you know, you had the access to Uber.
You follow.
Yeah, my husband's, he gets car service to go to the airport.
What's current?
Thursday.
Thursday? Okay. All right, anything else? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Long move.
Second,
11 second.
okay, happy rest of the day, we come back to our.